Welcome to today's presentation on using technology for Amazon KDP keywords and beyond as part of the Authortube Writing Conference 2023. Really glad to have you here. So let's dive right in. Today we're going to be talking about Amazon KDP keywords and using technology to get both keywords as well as data as best we can. So here's the overview of today's presentation. We're going to talk about the goals and objectives of the session today. I'll give you a bit about me. I'm going to discuss the importance of keywords and the data. Critically, we need to know what are keywords just to set you up ahead of the rest of the presentation. And I'm going to give you an outline of what I'm going to share with you. And at the end, we're going to do a short wrap up and also a Q&A. So if you've got any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat or the comments section. Okay, so the goals and objectives of today's presentation is I hope at the end of this, you will know how to find keywords, where to find keyword data, and how to use technology to get both keywords and data. And the focus is going to be on Amazon KDP keywords, but depending on where you put your keywords, search engines like Google will pick them up as well. Now, what we will not cover is how to select your keywords, because there is a bit of an art. So there's also quite a bit of trial and error, and that's probably going to be a whole different presentation on its own. Okay, so that's the goals and objectives. Now, a bit about me. I'm a self-published author. At the moment, I'm mostly in non-fiction and low and no content. I'm a book award finalist. Sadly, not an award winner yet, but maybe one day. My background is kind of science and maths. It's in engineering. I've got a master's and PhD, so I'm kind of data-driven myself. I kind of like that stuff. And I'm always happy to learn and share my knowledge and experience. So I'm sharing what I've learned over the years with you. So I've been in this self-publishing space for quite a few years. So the importance of keywords and the data. Now, keywords effectively allows you to be discovered by readers. So discoverability is important, but not just any discoverability. You want the right readers. So it's targeted marketing. All right. You don't want anyone to just find your books. You want the right person to find your book. So if you're writing in sci-fi, you want someone who's looking for sci-fi to find your books. There is always a chance that someone looking for a different book might be also interested in sci-fi. That's always possible. But what you really want is someone who's actually looking for sci-fi to find your books. Now, this for me is one of the big selling points on getting keywords right, is that there is no active marketing. So, if you get the right keywords, there's no guarantees, it might lead to more book sales. And if you get the keywords right, it's discoverable to customers and readers for the long term. But the caveat, of course, is that the keywords must be relevant and it has to be suitable for your book, in your genre, in your niche. Otherwise, if you put something random, then it may not work. In fact, it might work against you. So an example of that is, let's say you write in the romance niche and you decided to use a keyword that was completely the opposite or completely irrelevant in the hopes of targeting someone who at some point might be also interested in something you're writing. So I'm going to give you an outrageous example. Let's say you write in the romance niche and you put something like business as a keyword. Like, it's possible that the reader or the customer is looking for something business related as well as romance, but really you want to be targeting someone who's just looking for a romance book rather than having a keyword like business in there. It may not be suitable unless it's talking about the business of writing romance books. There are people who are interested in that. So make sure the keywords are relevant. And obviously this is all important if you have the right data to make that kind of choice. If you don't have the right data, then you're less likely to be able to select keywords. We'll get to more of that later on. Now, what are keywords? You may already know this. I'm going to just briefly cover it for people who are not aware. There are long and short tail keywords. Now, it's just a fancy way of saying short tail keywords are just 1 or 2 words, whereas the long tail have more words. Essentially, it might be 3, 4, 5 or phrase, you know. So an example of a few short tail keywords are like fantasy, billionaire romance, business finance, or real estate. So just one or two words. A long tail or longer tail keywords, maybe business marketing for newbies, small town romance for adults, or young adult post-apocalyptic, or something like that. And it's quite a few more words. So essentially it's a phrase of some kind. So those are keywords. Now the presentation is going to take this shape. We're going to use software throughout to help us find keywords and also get keyword data. It's going to be split between using tools to find keywords and then using tools to find the keyword data. But some of these tools actually offer both at the same time. So we're going to focus on one at a time. Just be aware of that. We're going to cover free and paid options, but just a little warning. If you're going to try and get keyword data, quite often it's not always going to be free, but there are free tools which I will share with you. And I'm going to sprinkle in my insights and experience throughout the presentation. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, I'm gonna direct you to read some of the guidelines and rules that KDP have set out. So number one is make your book more discoverable with keywords. Make sure you have a read of this. It's got really good information, especially the keywords to avoid. Make sure you have a read of that, because obviously this will be sticking within their terms and conditions and rules. Make sure you have a read so you're very aware what they are. Number two is the metadata guidelines for books. Authors, publishers, and selling partners are responsible for adhering to our content guideline. You know, basically they're telling you it's on you. You know, you have to do your due diligence, and this is part of what you should be reading. So book title, there's quite a few bits that they talk about, but unauthorized reference to other titles or authors, unauthorized reference to trademark terms. You know, I really hate to say it, but it should be common sense. Some of these things, essentially they're saying don't parade your stuff as someone else's. I know there is something about not being able to copyright the title or trademark the title or something like that. That's fine. I mean, personally, I would just say make sure you try and, you know, stay within the rules as best you can. So that's what I would encourage everyone to do. So read these 2 pages and make sure you know what you can and can't do. I'm gonna leave links in the description, of course. But that brings me to our first example of what I'm going to share with you today, and I'm going to focus on unauthorized reference trademark terms or titles or authors. Now the first thing I do is just go to Google or your favorite search engine, type in something that's famous or you think may be famous, or if you're just checking something random to see if it is famous, you know, just go to Google and see what comes up. So type in Lego or something. So I'm going to use Lego as an example. It's not related to books, but you'll get the idea. So type it into Google, see what comes up. I'm over here on Amazon.com. So if I do Lego, I know it's really famous, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Lego. I'm going to highlight it and right click and use TESS trademark search. TESS, TESS trademark search. So that's a Chrome extension that I've got, and it brings me over to this page, which is the USPTO.gov page, and I am interested in the books, and I just type in exact match for whatever I'm looking for. Click on search to see if it's trademarked in any way, and you know, straight away you can see these are live trademarks. So these trademarks are very much alive. So I personally wouldn't, even if it's within the realms of what I'm looking to do as a title maybe on a book, I'm not going to title my book Lego. I'm just not going to put that word anywhere, you know, and I probably wouldn't even put it in my back-end keyword boxes because it's trademarked. So I want to avoid that completely, and that's my perspective on it. So that's number one, TESS, tangent, and so the trademark electronic search system, and there was a Chrome extension which I will show you, and it's just over here. This one here, so you can see tangent TESS. So it's a Chrome extension, completely free, that you can use. So that's number one, USPTO search. Number two that I want to share with you is WIPO. Highly recommend you do this is more like the international searches. So the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. This is the other website that I use to check out anything that's potentially trademarked globally. So I look at the trademark section, global brand database. By all means, feel free to go and check out other things, but I'm particularly interested in trademarks myself. So if you click on this one, you'll go to this page, and I've already done a search for Lego. Okay, so I just search for Lego, so you can edit your search, and I've typed in Lego over here. So if you wanted to do it again, just type in Lego, search, and see what comes up. And immediately, we know Lego is a big brand. I'm just giving you an example. So if you're unsure, run it through something like the USPTO, WIPO to see if anything comes up in their searches. Next up on how to find keywords is the Amazon search bar. And it is a powerful tool actually, so do not waste it basically. So whatever you're searching for in terms of your books or your niche, just type something in and see what pops up on the drop down menu. And something I like to do is called the ABC method. So I just type in the niche and then A, the niche, and then B, and see what comes up. So let's do something like romance book and then A, see what comes up. So these are the things that come up. I would make a note of them, and then B, and see what comes up. So romance book bodyguard, I would never have thought about that. So C, and all the way, coloring books. So if that's kind of your thing, romance comedy, maybe that's a thing. So all the way to through the letters. Some of them you'll get something, some of them you won't get anything. So let's try M, marketing mystery. Romance book mystery. So something about mystery romance maybe, and that might trigger some ideas. Mystery romance. So type that in, and then A and B and C and so on all the way, and just make a note of what comes up. And don't just use these keywords as it is. You got to make sure they abide by the rules on how to find keywords. Just use Amazon search bar. That's one of the easiest way to get started. It is a bit of a manual process, but I still do this just to trigger some ideas, generating some creativeness on what a reader might try and use as keywords to search for a book. All right, so Amazon search bar, and I do not want to waste this opportunity to talk about AI, ChatGPT. So let's talk about ChatGPT for a minute. So this is the free version. As far as I know, it goes back to, I think, 2021. So it says here, limited knowledge of the world and events after 2021. So essentially, you're kind of limited in that sense. So anything that's a bit more up to date, you probably won't get. It's still a great idea to use ChatGPT or some kind of AI to give you ideas on keywords. So for example, I will, just to give me some ideas on where to start, if I don't know anything about a niche, I will go in and say, hi, give me, let's say 50 SEO, which is search engine optimized, KDP Amazon keywords for the niche, and then I will insert some niche. So I don't know, let's go for military science, science fiction, romance. I don't know. And just see what comes up. It will give you a full list. Make sure you go through these. Do not use these as it is. It's just to generate some ideas. If you use these as they are, they may or may not work on Amazon. This is just the AI giving you some ideas. And it says, conduct proper keyword research, analyze competitiveness and search volumes and so on. So we'll discuss that later. I do like that ChatGPT has said, keep in mind Amazon's terms of service regarding keyword usage. You must keep that in mind. But if you look at this list, it does make sense. Some of it is certainly got military, it's got science fiction everywhere, it's got romance as the keyword. So have a look at ChatGPT and see if it might help you generate some keyword ideas, and then you can do further research if you want. Okay, next up on how to find keywords, we're going to use a Chrome extension, and it is called AMZ Suggestion Expander, or AMZ Suggestion Expander, and it does something funky. So I'm gonna go with something like military science fiction or military science books or something. So let's do military science fiction, and the ones over here in the white background, basically these are Amazon's drop down, and then you've got Chrome extension that gives you these words, before and other, and these are the words that have military science fiction in some format for the keywords. So my suggestion is that you can try the ABC method if you like, A and then B, and see what comes up. If you find that you're not getting many hits, so this is not too bad, but the longer the keyword length, so this is 3 words. If you did military science fiction romance for teens, for example, that's quite a lot. It doesn't even come on the Amazon search results. So this might be too long in terms of a long tail keyword. So drop it down to a shorter keyword length. So this one will give you a few. These are just Amazon's drop down. That's maybe not enough for you. Drop it down to 3 words, and then you'll see more results that the Chrome extension gives you. If this is still not enough for you, drop it down 1 more level, and then you'll see even more keywords come out. So that's my suggestion on how to use this one. At the time of recording, it's still free. I can't guarantee it's going to stay that way in the future, but this is one I like to use in conjunction with other methods. Okay, up next, another Chrome extension that I like to use is called the Huge Amazon Search Suggestion Expander. We'll go with a different example now. Let's say military romance. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. But just to demonstrate, they've got 3 sections: primary Amazon suggestions, before keywords suggestions, and then additional Amazon suggestions. Obviously, don't just use these keywords as it is. I keep stressing that, but you make sure you're within the rules and such. You can download all suggestions over here if you wanted to, and just take a look at it. So it's downloaded over here, and this is in Chrome, so I'm going to open this and see what comes up and the information you get so that you can have a look. And there we go. So these are all the keywords that this Chrome extension has found. You can go through them to see which ones suit your niche and which ones you may want to investigate further. But this is another Chrome extension that I like to use to find more keywords. Okay, and next up on the how to find more keywords using some Chrome extensions is something called, let me see what it's called exactly. It's called Also Bots and Top 100s downloaded by Kindle Trends. And so this is the one we're going to use, and I'm going to stick with my military science fiction. I don't write in military science fiction, by the way. And so we're going to type in military science fiction, see what comes up. And if you see this little icon here, that's basically what it's going to download. So let's just click on download so you have an idea of what's going to come up. And for this one, you're going to need Excel. Okay, you'll need Excel. And let's open this text file. I'm going to copy all of that. So I've copied all of that. I'm going to paste it. So this is from the previous extension. We're going to use this as, we'll rename it later. But I'm going to right click, paste, special. Paste and see what comes up. Okay, so we don't need all that. We don't need all the ASIN stuff, but we would like to see what's in the title. It's probably nice to see what the reviews are. It's probably nice to see who the authors are. And the reason we're looking at the title is because sometimes you can get keywords in titles. And if you notice, military sci-fi series, space time, post-apocalyptic sci-fi. Yeah, I probably would steer clear on anything that says bestseller. I don't think I would run that by KDP first if you're going to use that. Military sci-fi. So you can see there's quite a few keywords within the title. Now that's not all that you can do with this one, so I'm going to allow that because we do want to download multiple files. Anyway, it will continue to download all the pictures. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. It downloads all the cover pictures from this page, which is really handy to see. I mean, I know we're going a little off topic, but essentially you can see if your keywords are going to fit within this niche. And if it is going to fit, this is kind of the style of covers that people are expecting. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit there. Let's click into one of these. I'm not going to click on an ad, because no, I'm not going to spend someone's money. So let's click on this one. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to open it in a new tab. And what I want to show you over here is, so let's make sure we're on Kindle, okay. And it's this little icon. Keep an eye out for this little icon here. Products related to this item. If you click on that, it will download everything for all these pages. So there's 49 pages. Like I say, you could download everything so that you can see what titles other people are using, which may contain keywords. So I'm just going to click on that just to show you. So let's just give it a moment, because it's basically, if you look at this, it's cycling through page 6 of 9, 7 of 9. So if you open this text file over here, copy everything, and then we'll go back to the Excel file and we'll start another sheet, and I'm just going to paste everything here. So let's take a look, for example, on the titles, and you're going to find quite a few keywords in here, and this is what we're after. So take a look, and then if there's sometimes, and I'm not suggesting you do this, but in the past, some people have put keywords in series names. Sometimes Amazon was okay with it, and I'm not so sure if they are now. You can get some more keywords over here, especially in the title. This is what this extension does. You can go through, so this is products related to this item. It will do the same for other parts of people also bought, for example. So in this case, there's only products related to this item. In other books, you may be able to find something like people also bought or whatever it is that it's called. So let's try another example. Let's say this one. I don't know who this is. BV Larson. You can have a look. So products related to this item. Again, you can see page 1 to 49. I'm not going to click on that button this time. There we go. I just didn't scroll down far enough. But basically, you've got 4 stars and above. You can download everything from page 1 to 47 for, instead of scrolling and looking at each book, you can look at customers who viewed this item also viewed and download all these. There's only 8 pages of these, so if you wanted to, you can download all the information here related to items you viewed, the 1 to 7, bestsellers and Kindle ebooks, and so on. You know, basically this extension does anything that has, you know, the also bought or also viewed or similar items kind of thing. And it allows you to click a button, get a text file which you can copy and paste into an Excel file, which you can then analyze the titles and maybe series to see if there's any keywords that may interest you. Okay, so that's one of the little gems. Hopefully you like that one, and it's just a reminder, it is called the Also Bought and Top 100s Downloader by Kindle Trends. I'm going to share one of these tips that I wish I knew when I was starting out. Now, if you've got all your keywords put into the right boxes and such on KDP, and you're wondering if Amazon is going to index you at all, this is one of the ways that you can find out. At the time of recording, it still works. So I'm going to do something like, I don't know anything about this niche at all. So let's do Dragon Shifter Romance or something. I figure it's kind of cool. Let's pick, I'm not going to click on ads because that'll be a major move. So we've got this one. I'm just going to grab the ASIN, which is this bit. That's the ASIN. I'm going to go back to the first page, copy and paste the ASIN, and then put in the keyword that you are looking for or that your book has. So assuming this is your book and you got a keyword in the back end somewhere and you're trying to see if Amazon's going to even index you if someone's looking for your book specifically, particularly the ASIN and this keyword. So let's, for example, try dragon because that's clearly in the title. It should come up. I typed in ASIN and then I put in the keyword. You see one result for this and dragon, and that is the book here. Okay, I mean, you'll get other results, but the main one we're trying to look at is whether it comes up for your specific book, your ASIN, and whatever keyword you put in. So let's say I'm going to go something random. Let's call it wolf. Let's say wolf. Will it come up for wolf? Yes, it does. So wolf is actually in this book. So that probably wasn't random enough. Let's say oil tanker. This is really random. Oil tanker. Okay, so there you go. So use fewer keywords or try these instead. So they're basically saying no results for the ASIN and this keyword. So this is how you at least know if Amazon's giving you some index love. Now, whether you rank onto page 1 for that keyword or not, that's a completely different discussion, and it depends on so many other things, like especially sales and other factors. So, you know, at least with this method, you know if the keywords you've put in is going to work indexing wise. At least if someone is looking specifically for your book and they put in that keyword, it should come up. Now, hopefully you found this useful. If you did, hit that thumbs up, you know, book that like button. So moving on to keyword data and where to find data. Now, there's quite a lot of information out there and you're welcome to search the internet for it, but for me, essentially it boils down to 3 things. All right, this is the keyword data that I'm personally interested in, and that is number 1, the bestseller rank, number 2, search volume, and number 3, number of search results. Now, the bestseller rank is basically updated by Amazon many times a day. I don't know exactly how many, but basically the lower the number, the better. So it's kind of like music charts, you know, number 1 is the best, and if you're number 10 billion and 200 or whatever, you know, a really big number, that's not a very good thing. Sometimes there's not even a bestseller rank if something hasn't sold. The lower the number for BSR, the better. All right, now number 2, which is search volume. I like this because it's a proxy for customers searching for this keyword with usually the intent to buy, or at least they are scoping it out and they will eventually come back to hopefully buy and make a purchase. So this gives me customer intention. And finally, the number of search results, and this is where the competition comes in. So if you want to sell something, you want to be in a playing field that doesn't have many competitors. Ideally, some fields, some niches are very competitive, and there's going to be thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people competing for that keyword or for that niche and genre of keyword. you know, a typical one would be romance, where if you just typed in romance books, you're going to get a huge amount of search results. This indicates that competition-wise, there's a lot of competition for it. Now, the ideal scenario, of course, is where you have a great bestseller rank, so it's selling regularly like hotcakes. You've got a great search volume, it's like through the roof and everyone's searching for it. And the number of search results, or competition-wise, you want it to be minimal. So ideally just on one page, but that's not always the case. You know, there have been times where I found just one page of relevant search results, but more often than not, if it's a competitive niche, if there's money to be made, usually there's more than one competitor. Actually, there's usually quite a lot of competitors. So these are the 3 bits that I look for keyword data, and we're gonna go through some examples and tools that I use to find some of this out. Right, before we get into the keyword data and all that stuff, I would like to just share with you Trends, Google Trends. It's a really, really useful tool. Definitely don't sleep on this because it's like I say, really useful. So how I would suggest you use this is, you know, just type in, I don't know, romance books or something. Make sure you set it for the country of your choice. So I've got here US, I've got another tab open for the UK. So whatever region that you're looking at, set that and then type in a keyword. Have a look at what comes up. I'm going to show you what I personally do. So I look at the past 5 years, minimum past 5 years. You can go back longer, that's okay, but for me, I think the past 5 years is sufficient. And I like to see where there might be a trend. So over here, there's a big move. So over here, we're going to say, what's this, December to January, thereabouts, okay? That's December, January. Again, here we see a move, December to January, thereabouts. So you just have to be a bit patient and maybe have a look at this. What's the peak here? July. So July, there's a peak there. In December, Jan again. What's the peak here? June, August. There's a peak, or very big peak here. This is December to January again, you can see. And then over here, what are the peaks? June and July. Another peak over here. You get this. You gotta be a bit patient with this. This is December into January, I'm sure. Yep, December into January. So basically you can tell if there's some kind of seasonality to this. All right, and the reason this is important is when you are evaluating bestseller ranks or search volume and stuff like that, you need to take into account potentially, this is not guaranteed, but potentially there is going to be more search volume, more buyers, so the bestseller rank of BSR will be lower during some of these seasonal times. Okay, so this is just one of the tips I would suggest you try. Like I say, there's no guarantee, but at least it gives you some kind of indication. So if you're looking at doing some research for keywords and you're looking at, let's say you're looking at it middle of March or April, you have to plan for higher, potentially higher bestseller ranks and potentially lower search volume, because, you know, seasonally, this is romance books is something that people look for December into January, maybe June and July. So any other time, I would say there's probably a bit less search volume. Not to say you can't use that keyword or anything. I'm just suggesting that you have to adjust it mentally in your mind that the search volume and bestseller ranks may be a little skewed. So I just want to share this Google Trends with you, trends.google.com. It's a tool I use sometimes just to get a feel to see if I may need to adjust my expectations on the keyword data that I'm looking at. All right, moving on, let's get into the keyword data. Now, if you wanted to do a manual search, so this is just using Amazon itself. So I've got here science fiction books, and if you click into that, I know it's a very competitive niche, don't get me wrong. So the first thing to notice is over here on the left hand side is 1 to 48 of over 100,000 results. So potentially you're looking at quite a lot of competition. Okay, so there's a lot of competition here. So that's the first thing to note. I'm going to ignore the sponsored stuff, but let's say, I don't know, editor's pick. This one looks good. Let's say you looked at something like this. I don't know anything about this book. I'm just going to click into that. But the next thing I'm looking for is the bestseller rank. So skip all that. There you go, bestsellers rank. 2,713 in the Kindle store, so it's probably selling quite a few every single day. It's number 10 in these 10, 20, and 25 in these categories. You know, this is what I'm after, the BSR, bestsellers rank. Okay, so the lower the better. This is very good. So this is 4 digits, and you can kind of see, you know, it goes hand in hand. Typically this is very normal. You have a lot of results, but you also have books that have very low bestsellers rank. right? So that's something to be expected. Now, this is the manual way. So you go in, you type in your keyword, find out how many search results you get as an indication only of potential competition. And then you go into individual books to find the BSR, just to confirm, really, to make sure that there is sufficient demand, okay? That these are, in fact, selling very well. So this is kind of the manual way, but let me show you how we're going to use some tools to make our lives easier. So I've just switched on the Chrome extension called DS Amazon Quick View. So that's DS Amazon Quick View. And this extension basically, and refresh this page, we're still on science fiction books. So this extension basically shows me all the sort of at a glance things like the BSRs, which is what I'm interested in. So over here, you can see this is the Chrome extension pulling in for this book. And then it has a pop-up if you hover over the cover. If you hover over the cover, this pop-up comes up just to show you some key data, which is what we were looking for earlier, in particular the BSR over here. And what it does is under each book, it shows you the BSR as a number. So effectively, you don't have to open every single book to find out whether this niche or this keyword is doing some good numbers on the BSR. You can see this is the one we looked at just now, 2713, which is correct. We just checked it not long ago, and you can just scroll through just the first page or first couple of pages just to get a feel on where most of the BSRs are. You can see there are some really good numbers. Some are a bit higher than I'd like. For example, this one 4 million. So I guess this is recently launched, maybe. Yeah, so you know, not relatively recent, I guess. I know it's been about a year, but still. 4 million is probably a bit too high for my liking. I would probably, this is my preference, I would stick with the hundreds of thousands, anything above 500,000 as a whole. So if this whole page had mostly 500,000 or above for the BSR, I would probably not be interested because it doesn't have, for me anyway, sufficient demand. The lower the number, the better, but keep in mind, the lower the number, as I said, you probably have quite a lot of searches, a lot of competition. So this is the first tool, just to remind you, it's a DS Amazon Quick View. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and switched off DS Amazon Quick View and turned on a different extension. I'll show you the extension. It's called KDP Amazon BSR and Keyword Research SEO Tool. So you can see there's quite a lot of keywords in this thing itself. So yeah, before I switch over to the Amazon page, I just want to show you these extensions. I do my research in Incognito. So I make sure that this allow in Incognito to be turned on. All right, so if it's turned off, then you won't see it. But if it's in Incognito turned on, then the extension should work. All right, so I've just switched over to this extension. It's by Self-Publishing Titans. You can go and check out their YouTube, Facebook, or social medias. But here's what I want to show you. This is, at the time of recording again, completely free. They've got a keyword niche score, which you can have a look at. I don't really pay too much attention to it, but it's kind of like a handy tool, just to give you an indication of whether it's a go or not, kind of like a traffic light system. So they give you some interesting stats like results, total results, 117. So instead of Amazon saying over 100,000, they're actually telling you it's 117,000. On the first page, you got 60 indie published, 2 books on this page. The average bestseller rank over here, 300,000. The highest is 4 million. Now, this is where I kind of like to drill down a little bit, so I don't tend to look at this on its own because it doesn't take me very long. So let's just scroll through. If I were to scroll through, okay, just like this, just casually scrolling through, and I'm looking for the BSRs, it won't take me that long. It'll take me less than a minute. So if you just see, it's taken me about half a minute, right? Half a minute to get a feel on the BSRs. Okay, so I ignore this average. So that's just my preference. Reviews is interesting though. So this is just something to let you know. If you do decide to compete in this niche, the average reviews and the highest reviews. So yeah, you need to be able to try and get some of them at least, reviews wise. Interesting information about price. So there we go. That's the kind of summary bit. I still like to go into each and every one of these just to see what the BSRs are like. And this extension gives you the BSRs at the top of each book. Okay, so at the top of each book, it tells you the BSR, 24763, 68K, and so on. So again, you know, just like I said, you can scroll through. It doesn't do audiobook. This is an audiobook at the moment. Just scroll through, you know, it doesn't take you long just to look very, very quickly, glance at it. If it's undefined, just move on. Audiobooks, don't worry about it. 17K, you know, 400 and something K, 4 million to 46K, and so on. Just get a feel real quick. It'll take you less than a minute to go through one page for one keyword, and this again is how I would do it. So now I have an indication using this tool of how competitive it is potentially, and roughly what the BSRs are like for some of the normal books. I know that there's quite a few with a very high BSR, which isn't great, but it really skews the average, doesn't it, you know? So most of them were okay. You just have one or two that are really high, pulling the average up, which is why I tend to just ignore the average. For the BSR, I prefer just to manually scroll down. Okay, so this is the other Chrome extension that I like to use, completely free at the time of recording. Okay, we're in the home stretch now, so let's talk about tools that you can use to get more information, and this is kind of paid. Most of them are paid. There's one that's free, but let me explain why I basically settled on Publisher Rocket. It's a combination of the cost as well as the time it saves me. So let me just run through quite a few of the ones that I've used in the past, and we will start with Ahrefs. I hope I pronounced that, but they've got, I'll leave links in the description, of course, but basically you can click on something like Amazon and type in, I don't know, science fiction books, for example, you know, and find keywords, and it'll come up with a whole list. At the time of recording, again, it is free. This specific tool is free. It may change. It has changed for many others, but I don't know if this will change in the future. But basically they've got something like this. And it says the keywords, first 100 keywords out of 414, so there's more keywords that contain the word science fiction, and it gives you an indication of the volume. So this is an estimated volume, and I believe it's based on Google, and they obviously have their own like black box tools that they use to estimate volume. It basically gives an indication of people looking for it, looking for this keyword. So if you scroll further down, you can see it's 0 to 10. Compare that with the highest one, science fiction books of 7.1 thousand. It doesn't matter what the measure is, okay? The measure over here is this is a high volume relative to the lower volume ones further down, okay? So it just gives you more information on whether you want to use a keyword like that in your book or the 7 backend boxes or anything. So that's number one. This is currently free. Number two, I played around with in the past, KD Spy. It's not free, this one, but it's not hugely expensive either. It's quite popular with authors in the community, so it's not too bad. I've tried it. It's okay. It's not bad. Currently, I believe it's... Oh, hold on. Sorry, I scrolled past that. Currently, it's, let me see, $69, one-time payment. I've used them in the past. It was okay. It's not too bad. Next up, Helium 10. This is quite a powerful one. I've used it more for my Amazon selling days, but it gives you lots of great information. So you could try this one out. And I would say, you know, on the cheapest plan, you know, it's not too cheap. You know, it's up to you. If you got the budget, you want to try it out, you know, by all means go try it out. I'm not going to stop anyone here, but just be aware that this one is probably one of the more expensive ones. I've also used Jungle Scout. Again, this is going back to my Amazon selling days, which I've moved on from. But you can see, again, there's the price tag on the cheapest one is $29 a month. Again, up to you if you want to try some of these, see which ones you vibe with, which ones you like. Keywords everywhere. This is probably one of the most inexpensive tools, but it's you know, there are some limitations. So this is more like a Chrome extension. I still have it. I believe my credits have expired, but I just wanted to show you over here. They basically use, I believe, Google Keyword Planner information, so you know that's where they get their information from. Let's have a look at the pricing. The annual subscription plan, it's $12 billed annually, 100,000 credits per year. The credits expire after 1 year. So these credits get used up really quickly in my experience, because you just search up one keyword and you know you can blow through them quite quickly. But it is one of the, if you choose one of the lower prices, subscriptions, it's not too expensive relative to the others. This is one of the main reasons I've gone with Publisher Rocket, because they give me the information that I need and the information I'm looking for. We'll go through it a bit more, but currently Publisher Rocket, it's going for $97. I don't know if they're ever going to make it a monthly subscription, but it is there. It could change, and they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. So let's go through Publisher Rocket and I'll showcase how I use it personally. Alright, on to Publisher Rocket, which is my software of choice for keyword and keyword data. So let's just run through some basics. Now, if you get Publisher Rocket, or if you have it, make sure you select the right marketplace. They've only got 3 at the moment. Maybe they'll add more in the future. Select the right language. I typically keep it on books because that's where my focus has been in the past. Sometimes I do use Kindle only or Audible only, but majority of the time I do my searches on books. You can definitely try the other two. So if you do a keyword search, you can select books, Kindle only, or Audible only. Let's just go with something like science fiction. Click Go Get 'em Rocket, and then you'll see over here, these are the results. I've gone ahead and clicked ahead some of them. So the analyze button over here, if you click the analyze button, a little symbol here, it will populate and get the information for that specific keyword. So in this case, science fiction as the keyword. If you just hover over the question marks, it'll tell you, shows the average pages of the top ranking books for this keyword. So the number of pages, for me, it's not really that important. This is what I'm keen on. Shows the number of books that compete for this keyword in Amazon, and they've got a note that Amazon is limiting the number of reported to a maximum of 1,200. They've adjusted the competition score, that's fine. Average price of the book, again, this is interesting, but I tend to do my own manual search, but this is good to know, you know, in case you want to kind of price it out all in one spot to see how much you might price your book. This is really interesting for me, actually. Average monthly earnings, and this is obviously estimated data, but estimated average monthly earnings of the top books that rank for this keyword. So I will take this into consideration in how I select my keywords. Estimated searches per month on Amazon tells you the estimated number of people who typed that phrase into Amazon per month. I think this is a good time to remind people, if you didn't know, Amazon is probably one of the biggest stores for book sales around, and people who are on Amazon are there to buy. So they already have a buying intent, all right? So this for me is really useful. When you hover over it, it just says reasonable number of searches. I mean, to me, that's quite good. 2,000 people per month, I'll take that, you know? So I tend to, you know, take the color. So this one's like a beigey, yellowy kind of color. It says reasonable, and over here it says great number of searches, although this is green. You know, you have to take that into account for that specific keyword. Of course, this is a different keyword. What I look at as well is the competitive score, which is something the Publisher Rocket software does. It tells you how hard it would be to rank your book for that keyword. 0 being the easiest, 100 being the hardest. So I do take this into account. So if you had a book that was science fiction based and you just put science fiction, you are going to get a whole lot of competitors. As you would expect, it will be highly competitive, which is reflected over here. But you then have to balance that out with whether you want to compete for that keyword in some manner. You know, it may not just be on its own. You may have this as a part of the keyword phrase that you may want to use in your backend 7 boxes on KDP. It may not be on its own, it may be with other words, you know. So yeah, take all these, I take all these bits of data into account to decide which keywords I'm going to use personally. All right, so I've just gone ahead and highlighted a few, analyzed a few. So if you click on this button, it'll turn green and then it'll populate with some data. Now, once you've scrolled through and then clicked on these buttons to see which ones might be of interest to you, so you populate all these, you can click export just the analyzed ones or export all of them. So I'll show you both what they look like. So this is what they look like over here. So this is all keyword search. You can see all the keywords over here, and the ones that have populated across are the ones with data, where you click the investigate button. So if I expand all of them, so then you can analyze these as and when you feel like. So that's number 1, all keyword searches. And if you do the analyzed keywords only, you only get a fraction of the results. So then you don't have all the other blank spaces, but you can easily filter them out. So for me, it's not a huge deal, but this is where I will do my analysis to see, out of these keywords, do I want some combination of them? So I can stitch together science fiction, romance, fantasy, books for adults, maybe. You know, I could stitch them together somehow. And then, like I say, I will use the competitive competitive score as an indication. The competition, for sure, number of competitors, they're all competitive, so it's irrelevant. At this point, they're all competitive. So then I will move on to the competitive score to see, whether it's worth my time. When I'm analyzing this, I want to see the number of searches on Amazon and balance that out with the potential earnings. So, obviously the best thing is to have a really high demand keyword with high monthly earnings, with high Amazon searches, with very low competitive score, low competition. So if the number of competitors is like 5, yeah, I'll be on that, of course, but there's always new people coming into the business. So this number will only increase. It will not decrease. That's just how it is. So you have to kind of balance everything out. So there is a bit of an art, and you have to test it out and see what works for you. This is why I kind of like Publisher Rocket, because it gives me all the data that I need in one place. And if you recall, some of the other software, they're good, they're okay, nothing wrong with them. It's just, for me, it worked out to be more cost and time efficient to use one software, and this is the one I've chosen. Just wanted to show you how Publisher Rocket works, and this is how I personally use it for my keyword research. Okay, so if you want to grab your copy of Publisher Rocket, by all means feel free to use my affiliate link. But before you do so, I just want to mention that I reached out to the Publisher Rocket team, and they have hooked us up for the Authortube Writing Conference 2023. So just for these 3 days, there's a special code, special link that you will get a free course that the Kindlepreneur has done. But before we cover that, just want to say it is $97 one-time payment, and you never pay again. And they do say it may become a monthly subscription in the future, so take that into consideration. As usual, 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's 30 days to test drive it if you want. So the course that comes with the purchase, if you purchase using that special link in the description below, it's the keywords and categories course for $49.99, completely free, just for these 3 days only. And if you wanted to have a look a bit to see what's in the course, there's some more details that I'll include in the description. But essentially, there's mastering Kindle keywords and then mastering Amazon categories. I've been through it. I found it quite useful. If that's something that you might be interested in and you haven't got Publisher Rocket, by all means, please use my link. The link will be in the description below. Alright, so that is pretty much the end of the core presentation. Just want to wrap it up a bit. So by now you should know how to find keywords and where to find keywords, especially keyword data, and using software and tools that are available to you. Some are free, some are paid. My best advice is don't overthink things, especially at the start. Do your best, make informed choices. Nothing's going to be perfect. Sometimes you will struggle, like I did many times, whether I should choose this keyword over that keyword, and there's a low competition, but there's a lot of money being made. I don't know, which do I choose? There is no perfect answer. Bottom line is, you've got to try it, you've got to test it out, and just keep in mind that if it's not working, you can change it later. So after a week or two, or a month or 2 or 3 months, you go and check the Amazon search bar and see if you're ranking for any of these keywords, and you don't come up until like page 10, then by all means, do another round of keyword research and see if you can find a different keyword or a different combination of keywords to see if that might work better. But the important thing is to keep moving forward, stay within the guidelines, and just test things out, because no one, I repeat, no one knows what the Amazon algorithm does, as far as I know. At the time of recording, that's certainly true. I believe no one actually knows, so you have to test things out, and what might work for a certain book in the same niche may not work for another book in the same niche. It's entirely possible that books in the same niche will rank for different keywords. The algorithms, that's quite smart. It'll allocate where books should be for different keywords, according to how it sees fit. And no one actually knows how that algorithm works, because Amazon doesn't release that information. So that is the best advice I can offer you. Without further ado, let's move on to the questions and answers. If you got questions, type them in the chat. I will try and answer them. I am here right now, and if you're catching the replay, by all means leave your questions or comments in the comment section. I will get to them when I can. So thank you very much for joining me today on today's Authortube Writing Conference 2023's presentation about keywords and using technology to find keywords and find keyword data. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe as well. So let's get to your questions. Okie dokie. Let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. I am here, so let me know if you've got any questions. Otherwise, we will we will close it soon, actually, or we can close it earlier. I'm open to questions if anyone has questions. Otherwise, thank you everyone for joining me today. Yeah, I know Christina, there is a lot to unpack. I probably covered quite a lot. And I apologize because I didn't realize this, but there's the live with StreamYard right at the top, and that kind of covered quite a lot of what I was typing. So I was typing essentially the words that I was looking on, for example, on Amazon search bar. So I do apologize for that. Let's have a look. So are those Chrome extensions you use available listed somewhere? Yes, I will update the description within the next couple of hours, and I will save that. So just return to the same video, and then it'll be in the description. I got a whole list of websites as well as Chrome extensions. So yeah, it will be listed in the description. Make sure you guys also sign up for the giveaways and the feedback form, because there's quite a lot of good stuff that AWC 2023 has for giveaways and prizes and such. So don't miss out on that. If we could only, so SD Houston asks, if we could only use one tool, which one would it be? So it depends on your budget. My preference is Publisher Rocket, because I paid basically one time. I paid $97 one time, and it's upgraded. It's been upgraded many times. Publisher Rocket is my preferred tool, but I'm not going to hate on anyone who decides to use something different. I've used other tools in the past, but I've always come back to Publisher Rocket because of the free updates for life, one-time fee. I use it every so often whenever I need to check my keywords. So yeah, that would be my personal recommendation. And also Dave Chesson and the team are fantastic. So if you do have any issues, their support really is the most responsive that I've ever seen. Can you get by free options? Asks Emma Bennett. Yes, you can, but you have to be content with what you get. I mean, it's free, so you're going to get what you pay for in a way. Like Hrefs, there's some data there, and you have to manually type in the keywords every time you search. So that's going to be a drain on time. So if you value your time, you may not like that. Whereas Publisher Rocket, like you saw, you get a whole list, and then you just click analyze and for whichever keyword you want to analyze on, and then it just comes up with the data. So I guess time-wise, it just saves time. I know it's a bit of an upfront cost at $97 one-time fee, but for me anyway, it's paid itself many times over. I appear on page 1 regularly for the keywords I've set up with. It took a bit of trial and error, and that's what most people have to go through, unless you're one of these like super authors, which Emma is, and you write anything. You don't really need to rely on keywords. Like if someone famous puts out a book, they don't need keywords. That's the fact of it. For example, Oprah Winfrey, if she puts out a book, she doesn't need keywords. People are going to buy it. Unfortunately, I'm not as famous as that. Maybe one day, but who knows? Yes, Christina. I apologize, but I like to see the Chrome search programs. So yes, I will include the extensions and the links to them later on. So I don't know if I missed any. Oh, SD Houston, if you could design the perfect tool, what would it be? Combinations of the ones available. That is a bit beyond me. So I know there's like super smart people who can get the APIs and what have you to connect to different sources of information like Google or Amazon's API and all that kind of thing. And I know in the end, they have to do some kind of black box toolbox that they're never going to reveal as to how they estimate the data. And that's something that's, I don't have the know-how of how I would use that. And you kind of have to trust that the people who do produce the software know what they're doing. And that's what it kind of comes down to. So anyone can produce software. That is definitely true. But how good the data that goes in and how good the quality of data that comes out is subject to the debates. And I'm trusting the Publisher Rocket team know what they're doing. The data is not always correct, and this is true of any software. So sometimes it pays to double check the data, especially if there's seasonality involved. You definitely want to double check. But other than that, I couldn't possibly say. I'm not smart enough for that. And I have to trust that the people who are smart enough to do that, and who are smart enough to design these software with their estimated data, they hopefully know what they're doing. So yes. Okay, I think that is it for questions. And thank you, Melissa, for the vote of confidence. I believe that one day you'll be as famous as Oprah. Who knows? Maybe. And if I do ever get there, I will be making sure I do shout outs for everyone on today's stream. So make sure you like and subscribe, because I will be doing shout outs if and when I get that famous. Cool. Okay, let's call it a day. Margaret Pinard, Oprah. Let's not be. But cool. Okay, let's wrap it up there. You have about 5 minutes before the next presentation. And if you haven't, make sure you check out the AWC 2023 playlist. Sign up for the giveaways. Make sure you give some feedback, because you get entered to potentially win some prizes. And I will see everyone on YouTube in other presentations. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend on AWC. Okay, until next time, I shall catch you later. Take care, everyone.